Hello everybody, and welcome to the first ever PixelPupz review. Today we are reviewing Danganronpa V3, which was brought to us by NIS America, and was created by Spike Chunsoft. We would first like to thank the people that made Danganronpa V3, and we would also like to thank NIS America for gifting us with a copy of this wonderful game for review. I'm Pixel.
And I'm Panther.
And we are the PixelPupz. Today we will be talking about this wonderful game called Danganronpa V3, available September 26th in North America for PC, PlayStation 4, and Vita.
Our review today will be covering only what we stream, so everything from the start menu to the end of Chapter 1. Be aware that we will be spoiling minor things like some character names, but we will not be spoiling any major story beats. Something we did want to note is that Danganronpa V3 has a recording and streaming embargo for anything after Chapter 1, similar to the embargo for Persona 5. With no future plans in place for its removal even after the full release in September. As such, today we will only be covering the content that we experienced live on our Twitch channel. A full Danganronpa V3 review with all spoilers will follow once we have fully experienced all that Danganronpa V3 has to offer, so follow us on all of our socials to be up to date on the PixelPupz news. Let's get to the review! Danganronpa V3, the third main series game in the Danganronpa series, takes place in a similarly mysterious abandoned school, where our protagonist, along with 15 other unwilling participants, are forced to participate in a killing game. Every few days, the main antagonist/headmaster Monokuma, a cheerful bear who prides himself in causing despair, gives everyone a motive or offers a reward to incentivize the classmates to kill one another. It is then the surviving classmates' job to investigate the murder, find clues, and out the killer in a group trial setting. If the majority of the class votes for the murderer is then punished and the remaining class survives. Should the class fail to out the murderer during the trial, the class minus the killer is punished. It should go without saying that the only punishment Monokuma is interested in giving out is a fantastical torture scene aligned to the particular victim's traits.
Danganronpa is split into three major portions: school life, investigation phase, and the murder trial. During the school life, you simply live your normal life as best you can in this prison-like school, and interact with your fellow classmates to deepen relationships by gifting them items purchased from the Monokuma store, via coins earned for doing tasks or from performing well during the trial. During the investigation, it is your job to collect as much evidence as you can to be used during the trial to find who murdered your fellow classmate. Finally, the trial is a series of mini-games broken up by character exposition, all spun together with Danganronpa's signature style to create something truly awe-inspiring, with a heavy weight as one of your former friends is indeed a blackened murderer. The first thing we're going to discuss is the overall visual design. So what did you think of the design, Panther?
Overall, this game felt very vibrant to me, even when compared to the bright and sunny island of Danganronpa 2. I often felt almost visually taken aback at what I was seeing. Comparing this to the other Danganronpa games, I'd say the move to the console platforms rather than porting the Vita versions has done them the justice they deserve. Colors are fantastic, menus are striking, and every inch of the screen oozes that punk Danganronpa aesthetic.
Yeah, I really love the colors, and I always love that 2D character cutout style. It's such a neat aspect. And in the trial, when you fast forward, I love that they give it a VHS fast forward effect. The little things are amazing in this game. Also, the character designs were great as well. I didn't have any problems with any of that. I feel as though they made it more vibrant and colorful this time around.
I think it's fair to say that color in this game plays a big role. No longer are the characters shackled to a generic text box, as each has its own style, and in the trial, it's easy to distinguish who is talking by their text color alone. Each character has their own set of colors, and the design really does a good job of playing into that. Characters almost bleed their respective design colors and are easily identifiable, even when Danganronpa V3 paints your screen with every color at its disposal.
Next, I'd like to talk about the characters without getting in spoiler territory. First, the protagonist, Kaede Akamatsu, the first female protagonist in Danganronpa. How'd you feel about her, Panther?
Honestly, I wasn't expecting this change at all. Being someone who prefers female protagonists in games, I can tell you that it is a welcome change for me. Her personality is very close to the other protagonists, meaning bland with a hint of that classic Danganronpa mystery that we have come to know and love. Danganronpa has never had a protagonist that stood out to me as hard as she has, while still allowing the player to self-insert into the story. The character equivalent of a half-eaten donut. We like what we have, but there could be more there.
For me, I thought she was an okay character. I didn't dislike her, but she's not my favorite protagonist in Danganronpa before. She was just kind of bland and boring to me with no dimension till the end of the first class trial. Does her character even make sense to me? Now we're going to talk about the antagonist. which there is a main antagonist, Monokuma, but in this game he actually has little cubs. They are the Monokubs: Monotaru, Monokid, Monosuke, Monodam, and Monofini. So how do you feel about the antagonist in the game, Panther?
Monokuma is and will always be the biggest draw for me in Danganronpa. Monokuma is back in Danganronpa V3 in full form, making the player see a small glimmer of hope and then dashing it away just as quickly. His humor is unbearable, bringing that signature bear pun and ursine humor. However, I can tell you that the Sentai characters, the Monokubs, grated on me quickly. It may be a failure of my lack of Japanese panel comedy exposure, but I often felt like they didn't say or add anything that Monokuma didn't already say or couldn't deliver better. Monomi in Danganronpa 2 at least delivered a back and forth that helped move along the story. The Monokubs just end up being a secondary but lesser mouthpiece to Monokuma, and just didn't add anything for me. They also have some oddly timed talking points during the very serious moments in the trial that I felt like detracted from the weight that the trial was attempting to build, like someone farting into a loudspeaker at your grandmother's funeral.
I of course love Monokuma. I have always thought he's an amazing bad guy, always throwing something new in the mix to baffle and depress the characters into despair. And the added bonus of being hilarious, I never not laugh at things he says. However, for the Monokubs, I didn't really care for their characters at all. They just weren't fun or funny, and I don't think they added anything to the story that wasn't already there. Unless they serve a bigger purpose towards the overall story, then I don't understand the means for them. Without getting into serious detail of the side characters, we're going to discuss the characters as a whole. So what's your thoughts on the side characters as a whole, Panther?
For me, I always thought that the Danganronpa series would run out of ultimate abilities to give the new classmates. But with these new characters, I think they struck a nice balance of quirky and serious. Almost all the characters feel distinct, and most give a good amount of the backstory in the first few minutes of meeting them, while leaving us to discover more as we progress through the game. As we talked about during our stream, there are a few standouts, but I'd like to place the general level on par with past Danganronpas.
I thought the characters were amazing. I don't know how they can still come up with all these amazing character traits and not be like any of the other characters from the other games. It's amazing how much emotions each of the characters can give, and how it's a hard hit on your heart when one of your favorite characters dies, because they always like to introduce you to all the characters, give them a little story, and then do the first killing, so you at least bond with them a little before the true game starts.
So let's move on to another aspect of the Danganronpa series that I think is integral to the Danganronpa feel: the music and sound design as a whole. Pixel, what'd you think?
I know you like the jazz with English wording, but I wasn't feeling it. I feel like it took away from whatever the characters are talking about. There was nothing that felt different from the other games when it came to music or sound effects, so I'm pretty neutral on that. What about you?
I was blown away by the new main theme. It has this very jazzy tone that had me tapping my feet. All the classic music with minor twists helped to make this feel like another Danganronpa while still evolving over the old games. The sound effects are still oddly the same files from the old Vita versions. All are compressed, and at times it feels out of place and more in tune with a shoddy slapstick game, not the polish that Danganronpa V3 got. It felt jarring compared to how much of an overhaul the rest of the game got.
Next thing we're going to talk about is the controls for the version we played, PlayStation 4.
The controls honestly didn't get the revolution I think they needed. We can still feel the constraints of the Vita holding us back. At its best, the controls didn't interfere with the gameplay, and at worst, they made for quite frustrating moments. I had a few particular instances during the trial where even with looking at the control scheme, I could not wrap my head around what exactly they wanted me to do, nor how to properly execute it with the given controller layout.
At first, I thought the controls were pretty good, new and fun for DR, but then after a while, it just felt frustrating when I was trying to move the camera or look a certain direction. I realized they tried to add more depth to the game, but it just got lost in the frustration of moving the camera or the movement of the character.
Now for our opinions. So to me, Danganronpa V3 is shaping up to be the best Danganronpa game in the series. It keeps many of the old themes and mechanics that made it great, while innovating enough to keep me interested. Where it really shines is its new batch of characters, and its soft reboot of sorts, allowing newer players to jump in, rather than having to worry about the lore of the previous titles. And the great new mini-games that offer a good departure from the ones used in previous games, while sprinkling in the classic non-stop debates. My complaints from what I played were that the beginning was slower than I could have hoped for. I think there could have been a better way to reintroduce the characters while explaining what's happening. My other complaint would be that the overworld movement controls need a revamp. With a plethora of great FPS control schemes, the archaic controls of Danganronpa V3 seem out of place. Now, I could list here the many things that make this game great, but let me say this. Danganronpa V3 is the strongest the Danganronpa series has been to date. Characters shine, the story is well written and developed, and the overall style hits every stride it needs to suck the player in. I can't wait to sink my teeth into it fully over the coming month. For me, I'm giving Danganronpa V3 Killing Harmony a 9 out of 10, recommending this title to all gamers, regardless of genre preference.
I love this game more than DR2, and maybe above the first DR. It's hard to really judge that from just playing to the first trial. The story is already amazing though. It's a slow start to the game, too much time on the tutorial I felt like, but once the story starts going, oh boy does it go. And of course the trial was amazing. I loved all the new elements they added to it. It just makes the game all the more brilliant. If you like Ace Attorney mixed with a visual novel dating sim game, then this is a great game for you. Overall, I would score this game a 9, after only doing the first trial. Thank you everyone for watching our review. If you found it helpful, hit that like button. If you want to see more like it, hit that subscribe button. And if you have a different opinion, hit us with it down in the comment section below. Thank you to Spike Chunsoft for such an amazing game. Thank you to NIS America for giving us the opportunity to stream and review their game early. Thank you as well to all of our lovely people over at Twitch who came to watch us play Danganronpa V3. You can find our playthrough of Danganronpa V3 here on YouTube or over on our Twitch channel at twitch.tv/PixelPupz. If you want to see us live, you can find us over on Twitch on Tuesdays, Thursdays, and Sundays. Thank you everyone, and keep on puppin'!